All right, working on my 8x16. It's 8'2" by 16'8". Time for the deck boards. I had a lot of bracing, a lot of extra support to where no deck board is going to sag. But in the previous video, I mentioned your deck boards. You got to look at your deck boards carefully when you buy them. This is a standard deck board, 5 foot 1 inch, 71 inches. Another deck board, another 5 foot 1 inch, all pulled from the same pile. Look at the width difference. I already got all the lumber paid for this job. My lumber yard did not have any more 10 foot length deck boards. So I don't know what's going on with the deck boards. This is the drop off of the wide one. See what I'm saying? The width difference is a 10 footer. So hopefully this was the only board that was wider. If not, it's going to put me short on my job. So you really need to pay attention to the lumber you buy. If it's only one deck board, it's not a lot of waste. But I bought the exact quantity I need to get this job done. And my lumber yard didn't have any more straight 10 footers, so I had to drop down to 8s. And my lumber yard says I'm being too picky about my lumber. I mean, I don't think I'm being too picky. I pay for boards that are cut a certain dimension. I expect them to be cut a certain dimension within 1/8 of an inch. This is like 3/8 to a ½ inch wider than the rest. I'm not going to say I'm not complaining, because I am complaining, because this is the third dock in a row I build where the lumber is different measurements, and I'm trying to keep everything uniform, every dock the same measurement wise. That way, whatever I build one dock, build another one. Same measurements, all the same. We can't do that. This 2x8 right here, I don't know if you can see it. You see this high spot? It starts to arch up. It's wider than the rest just for a 2 foot section, which gives me a lip I'm gonna have to cut off. You see how it's flush on that end and it rises up, and it comes flush to this end. Just the lumber these days is just, it's really hard to build a pretty product to sell. And the quality of lumber is just not there, and the lumber yards don't care. What they're looking at is, well, you know, that's a 2x8. You know, they're telling me if I want even quality lumber, I have to order it. Special order lumber. It takes 6 to 8 weeks to come in. See, this side's even and flush. This side is not. I guess I could go down maybe a 1/16 on this side, but when I put the straight edge, it's straight. I've been running this problem a lot lately. And also, my lumber has what's called mill cut. That's a saw blade mark that runs almost the whole length of the board. And they were complaining when I was being picky about it. See, I'm a little high with this one. I still have a 1/4 inch difference in height. And these are both 2x8s, treated. 2x8s. Dimensional lumber is no longer dimensional. I kind of split the difference to where it wasn't as obvious. But the customer's not going to know about this. They're just going to see poor craftsmanship, you know. The guy can't even make his cut straight. Can't make anything line up. Anyway, my rant's over, but if you're building a project, you got to measure all your lumber out before you start piecing it together. Because, I mean, I'm counting on everything being uniform, all the deck boards being the same. They're not. My last dock, I bought some 10 foot deck boards, and they wanted being an 1/8 inch to a 1/4 inch short of 10 foot, which kind of screwed me on a 20 foot dock. You know, if you want to put two 10 foots, I'm short. And then the thicknesses, the last dock was all this wide. Now this dock's gonna be all the narrow deck boards. I mean, it's hard for me to do uniform, so I mean I can't use any leftovers from one job to the next unless the boards are the same size. So You just got to check your lumber carefully before you leave the lumber yard. I spent over an hour at the lumber yard getting that pile of 8-footers, searching through what was good. They had over 300 in stock, and I could only find 34 that was decent. And as you can see, one of them's curved up, some of them got knots in it, some of them got splits, but that was the best my lumber yard had to offer. And my next closest lumber yard is a half-hour drive, and it's just a hassle. No matter which route I go, it's a hassle. Yeah, double check all your measurements when you do a build, and don't take for granted everything's going to be uniform from one build to the next, because I assure you it's not. This is like the 6th dock I build, and every one of them, the dimensions of the lumber is different. So I'm here struggling, trying to make my overall measurements the same. I try to keep them 8-foot 2-inch at its widest point. That way it fits this trailer. The trailer is used as a jig, and it's used for transport. And if you ever had to pick this dock up, you can just borrow somebody's pontoon trailer. A standard 18 to 22 foot pontoon trailer has the same bunk measurement. So my total width should be 8'2". I'm a 1/16 shy of 8'2" on this end. Let's go see what the other end has. I'm going to jump through the frame of the trailer here, which is something everyone should want to do. All right, try this again. This is the easier way. I'm almost an 1/8 inch short on this side, so that's not bad. Less than an 1/8 inch of difference from corner to corner. Check my length. This should be 16 foot 8 inches if I've done my calculations correctly. That's what required me to fit the amount of barrels the customer wanted. I'm an 1/8 inch over, 16 foot 8. Let's go see what the other side is. The customer wanted a 16 foot. I told him I couldn't do exactly 16 foot. Even if I wouldn't have put the valve stems and buttered the barrels together, I would have came out to like 16 foot 2. So I figured it was best for me to go to a 16 foot 8. That way I can still install my valve stems. Even though some people say the valve stems are not a requirement, down here in southeast Louisiana, we get a lot of temperature change during the winter, and the barrels collapse during the winter. 16 foot 8 1/4. So again, a 1/8 inch difference in length and an 1/8 inch difference in width. I'm very happy with those results for not being a professional carpenter. I mean, I've seen plenty of work by professional carpenters that I'm off by more than that on a regular deck. And of course, I could probably squeeze in my width issue. I got a gap right here, but I have to allow a gap to allow for my straps to fit between my 2x6 mainframe and my 2x8 capping. The 2x8 capping, it adds strength, stops the dock from curving, and it hides the top of the straps, in which y'all seen in other videos. That's what that's looking like. It hides that, but you don't see it. Anyway, thank y'all for viewing. This is more just a tip to check your lumber out before you start doing your builds. Because right now, it's at the end of the day, my lumber yard's closed, and I'm not gonna be able to get anything. I'll get this wood swapped out. So I have a choice. I have to deliver this dock in 2 days. So that means I could stop now and first thing in the morning, go get the proper lumber and do it, and risk not being delivered on time. I need a full day to put the deck boards on, and then I still have to cut my toe rails and make those. So it's gonna be a day and a half of work. That's really be pushing my delivery. And after this one gets delivered, it's like an 80-mile run. I'm gonna have to backtrack, come home, and pick up the other 8x20 that I got laid sitting in my yard. It's completed. It's been ready to be delivered for 2 weeks now. The customer's finally ready for that. He needs it delivered as soon as possible. So with all that said, don't let a rush job make you sacrifice the quality of your build. I don't want to rush. But, it's coming down to where this has to get built. But I don't want to I'm not putting different width deck boards. I'm not doing that. Even if I have to cut this one down on the table saw and re-radius the edges to make this one work, that's what I'm gonna have to do. Quality comes first before quantity. So thank y'all. See you on the next one. Maybe I'll update y'all when this one's done. Maybe I'll put it side by side with the 8x20. But I mean you can pretty much figure out the size. 8 by 16 and a half. It's a good size dock. And it should hold about 1,800 pounds at halfway submerged, that's a lot of weight, 1,800 pounds. And that is after the weight of its own self. This one's gonna weigh around 1,000 pounds. So we're doing pretty good. Thank y'all.